And I think this shows that I left college with no friends, an insane amount of debt, and no memories. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or to it if this is the first time you are seeing my face. I really appreciate you clicking on it. My name is Jacy, and I like to do chit chats and story time on this channel. And today I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about my college experience. I went to USC, and I feel like whenever I tell people that, they always say, oh my gosh, like you went to USC, how was it? And I always pause and kind of reluctantly say, it was cool. And a big reason for that is when it comes to college, people say it's the best years of your life. The friends you meet in college are going to be in your wedding one day. Unfortunately, I didn't make hardly any friends in college. The friends that I did make, I barely keep in touch with. And I have quite a bit of a tainted view of my college experience. And I wanted to talk to you guys about it today. This video will probably be one of my longer videos, so bear with me, grab a snack if you must. It's also gonna get pretty personal. I'll bust out some scrapbooks and yearbooks if I have to. I'll try not to cry. But hopefully you guys, well actually, hopefully not, but maybe you guys can relate to some of these things and share your own experiences in the comments because I love hearing from you guys. But before I hop into this chit chat about college, I wanted to give a shout out to Ariel H because she gave me such a great suggestion. I asked you guys for any type of cool series names of what I should name the new show that I want to do here on this channel, and she suggested Dabbles and Babbles, and I love that because I said I want to be dabbling in something but babbling about other people's story times, and instead I thought that that would be a perfect series names for what I'll be doing with these story times. So these story times I'll now be renaming Dabbles and Babbles. So I will be babbling about my college experience, while today we'll be dabbling in hand casting. Don't worry, it'll all come together, just you wait. If you haven't seen like my Halloween video where it all kind of comes together, check that one out so you get what I'm talking about, or just watch this until the end. This has been a long intro because I'm avoiding the content, but let's just hop into why I did not enjoy my college experience. So before I get into the college stuff, it's pretty important that you guys know a little bit about my high school self. So in high school, I was one of those people. No, don't make me get scissors already. I already sat down and started the video. No, I don't want to use my teeth. My mom paid good money for this. Hold on. So in high school, I was a big nerd. I was the two-shoeiest of the goodies. The goodiest of the two shoes. I was a good student. I had a 4.5 GPA. I was in the top 10 students in all 850 in my graduating class. I was in so many extracurriculars like choir, band, newspaper, varsity sports. I had so much energy and no time because I was always studying. I was getting good grades. I was in independent study for Latin. I was a big fat dork is what I'm trying to say. So when it came time to start applying for college, can you guys hear this? This might be kind of gross ASMR, and I apologize, but it won't be for the whole video. So when it came time to start applying for colleges, I knew I could get into a lot of great schools. However, it cost a lot of money to apply for college. Like, I think it was like $70 per application. And my family and I were not made of money. So I kind of had to condense down where I wanted to apply to school. And I only ended up applying to, I think it was 4 colleges. Now, I knew I wanted to go into some type of writing, and so 2 of the schools that I applied to were Berkeley and USC. Now, if I got into Berkeley, I knew I'd be majoring in English, whereas if I went to USC, I'd be majoring in journalism, which was a little bit more in line with what I wanted to do, because if I majored in English, I probably could only become an English teacher. But if I majored in journalism, that's news, that's reporting, and that sounds a lot more exciting. But it would depend on where I got into college. Should I be wearing a mask for this? There's a lot of powder going into my nose right now. Sounds like my Saturday nights. I'm just kidding. Who knows? So one of my best memories, I kid you not, in life was the day I was driving with my mom. We stopped by our mailbox down the street, and inside I got a giant envelope from USC. We drive back up to the house. We are parked in the garage, And I open it up and it says, "You've been accepted into USC." And we both just started crying. The most joyous tears I've ever cried in my life. It was truly one of the best and most memorable moments of my entire life was getting accepted into USC. I also did get into Berkeley. Whatever. But USC was offering me more scholarship money. It was more in line with what I wanted to do. And so I quickly and graciously accepted. So I was so excited to get started being a Trojan, going to USC and getting started in this journalism program, which was one of the top in the nation, that I actually joined the Daily Trojan newspaper before school even started. So the summer in between graduating high school and actually going to college, I applied to be a writer for the Daily Trojan, and I became a staff writer pre-freshman year of actually going to college. I was so all in, I was so excited, and I was pretty proud of myself that I was able to get into this prestigious newspaper as a 17-year-old. I then remember one of the other greatest moments of my life was student orientation. So again, before you start going to college, you go to orientation. And it's so cool because USC has this thing where they go fight on, and it's like a peace sign, and it's a greeting, it's a goodbye. It's very much a cultural thing for USC. And so going around at this orientation where we're all newbies, we're all doing the same thing, everyone's just being like, fight on, fight on, fight on. And you're meeting all these people from all across the country. I was meeting people of different cultures that I had never met before, and we were all so excited to get started that it felt like just going around and simply telling people fight on, fight on. I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is the college for me, and these truly are gonna be the greatest 4 years of my life. I feel like Chef Boyardee, wrist twisting in the kitchen like a stir fry. Maybe like Gordon Ramsay would have been a better chef choice than a guy on a ravioli can, but this is kind of fun. But then actual classes started. I started college, and it was my first introduction to downward spirals. So when classes started, it was a rude awakening into how hard actual college classes were. I feel like when I was in high school, I was coasting in calculus and biology. But now all of a sudden in college, part of my general ed was a physics class. I've never taken physics. I don't know anything about physics. I had to take an environmental design class. I still don't even know what that means. The classes were extremely difficult because I couldn't just test out of them. I had to take them, and all of a sudden I was struggling in academics like I haven't been before. I also realized that I had gone from being one of the best students in my entire school to now one of the worst, because here we were where everybody was the best student coming from their high school. So I was now just one of thousands who were in top 10, who had a 4.5 GPA. And we're now all together competing for who's gonna be the best student in college. And I had no energy to compete. I had no passion to try to compete with these people. And I started to realize I didn't even want to sit in the front of the class. I was fine sitting in the back of a 500-person lecture. I don't think I ever went to a single office hours for a professor, because I was like, why should I have to try to force a personal relationship with this person I don't even know, just so they can maybe write me a letter of a recommendation one day? That's kind of weird. Spank it? Until the next step, holding. So it was during this time that I truly did have imposter syndrome for the first time in my life. I think it was because I started to feel like I didn't deserve to be there. I saw all these people who were so much smarter than me in the same classes, and I was like, okay, you are collegiate level material and I'm not. That was also the first semester that, this is gonna sound so stupid, but it was my first ever B-. I know that sounds silly, but I had never gotten a C in my life, and I had to fight to not get a C. It was really tough, but I just remember it really impacting my confidence a lot, where all of a sudden I wasn't good at school, and I didn't realize how much of a personality trait that was for me. And so it really started to affect my self-confidence as well as my academic performance in college. This is freezing, you guys. I don't know why I decided to use ice cold water. I also should have done my nails. If this is gonna cast my hand, I did not think this through. We're also gonna see if this works because I spent a little too much time mixing and not enough time drying. So let's talk about the social aspects of college and why this played probably the biggest role in why I didn't have a good time. So when I was 18 years old, when I was a freshman in college, I learned that I had a big ass tumor on my ovary that I had to get removed. So I did a whole video about this, make sure to go check it out. What's kind of funny and ironic about this is that ended up being the easiest semester of all of college because teachers kind of forgave my homework. They didn't make me take tests. I had to go tell them, hey, I have this tumor on my ovary that I need to go get surgery for, and I'm not gonna be in school for about 6 weeks. Can you just send me everything virtually? And so many of them were just like, oh my goodness, like, I'm so sorry, absolutely, don't worry about those tests. Like, we can send you the homework virtually, just email me whatever you need. And I got straight A's that semester because everyone was just nice. It wasn't earned or warranted, but that was probably the easiest semester that I had academically. However, socially, losing my ovary really did impact my mentality. I, all of a sudden, felt like an adult. I was an adult who just lost an organ. I was an adult who was now worrying about lifelong health issues that other people didn't have to worry about. This was a very traumatic event that I was going through at 18 years old that I felt like my peers just couldn't really understand. Here I was feeling like I was losing a sense of my womanhood, and I felt so much more grown up after going through that experience that I didn't feel like I could relate to a lot of my, I almost just said co-workers, co-students, the other students, you guys get it. So the other huge thing that impacted my social life and my whole college experience was that I had a boyfriend. I had a boyfriend of 2 years prior into going to college, and we were very serious. We were saving up to buy a condo. We were thinking about our future. We were talking about future dogs, having kids, like what we wanted to do with our lives. And it wasn't your typical relationship in college. It was very serious. And this again was something that I felt like nobody else could relate to because I wanted to spend all of my time with him. I wasn't worried about hanging out with them, and I felt so much more adult. We were saving up for a condo while these people were saving up for fake IDs. I just felt like I couldn't relate to a lot of the people. But the other, I don't want to call it an issue, but the other reason why having a boyfriend impacted my college experience so much is that I wanted to see him all of the time, that I ended up going home every single weekend of college. So I only lived an hour outside of USC, and I actually still had a part-time job back in my hometown serving, and that was kind of my excuse. Was I wasn't like other USC students. I did not have daddy's credit card. I was not rich and come from all these legacies. I still had to work just to put food on the table. That sounds weird. I had like swipes for the dining hall, but I still needed a job to just pay for things, pay for my textbooks, you know? My scholarship didn't cover absolutely everything, so I still needed to work. But I mean, I could have gotten a job in LA, but I more so used it as an excuse to go home and see my boyfriend every single weekend. He would also come out and visit me a lot, and so even though it was like long distance, it really wasn't. I was actually seeing him more than I was seeing a lot of my roommates because I was going home from Thursday to Sunday night. But what does it mean having a boyfriend in college? It means that you want to trust each other. And for me, it meant I wanted to do absolutely nothing that would make him distrust me. So for me, this means I never went to a single party in college. I've mentioned that in a lot of other videos, but I did not go to a single frat party, which is kind of a big deal because Greek life at USC is huge. There is a whole street called Greek Row where it's about a dozen frat and sorority houses that just host open bar parties all the time that you can just walk right in and get absolutely trashed at. Didn't attend a single one of those. I did not drink a sip of alcohol while in college. I did not do one single drug, which is good. Don't do drugs, kids. But I didn't do anything that I thought would upset him or make him distrust me or make him think I was doing other experiences without him because I wanted to do all of life with him. So I was very straight edge in college. I was an absolute square. And I'd like to think I wasn't an annoying one. Like I'd love to talk to my roommates now and be like, hey, was I kind of annoying that I was like, sorry, I don't need to drink alcohol to have fun. You guys go have fun at your parties. I'm gonna go home to my boyfriend so we can plan a mortgage. I probably was like that, goodness gracious. But I think because I was going home every weekend, I missed out on all of the parties on the weekend, but this also meant not going to any football games on the weekends. I didn't join any clubs or organizations because all of their bonding events and philanthropy and activities were happening on the weekends when I was gone. Another big issue that kind of ties into all of this is, I guess the rumors are true that a lot of USC students are very wealthy. They come from a lot of money, and I did not, you know? I always thought if you had a swimming pool in your backyard, then you were rich. These people came from getting BMWs when they're 15 years old before they even have their licenses, and flying to Europe for family vacations every summer. Like a whole different level of wealthy that I was not prepared for. This also meant they were more aesthetically beautiful. They were skinny and blonde, and I felt like I didn't fit in physically as well as financially. And this was kind of exemplified when the friends that I did make, they would sometimes like, hey, we're going out to dinner on a Wednesday night when you're in town. Do you want to come? And I'd be like, yeah, sure, let me go. We'd go out to dinner, and I remember there was this very specific time where we just went out to this burger joint in downtown LA. And I was like, oh, burgers, like I can afford that. We go, and it was like one of those places where it was $30 a burger with no side, with no drink. And I was like, oh, like that to me was a lot of money. That to me was like 2 hours of working for my life that I had to go home for. And I remember feeling really embarrassed because one of my friends ended up paying for me. And he didn't tell me until like the bill already came, but he was just like, hey, like I covered it, don't worry about it. And I was like, oh my gosh, like let me give you cash. And he was like, no, this one's on me. But I knew it was because I didn't have money. I wasn't as financially stable as everybody else. And so that kind of made me self-outcast a little bit more because I was like, I can't do the fun activities that they want to do. I can't just go shopping with them or out to dinners or get a fake ID and go out for drinks. I can't afford that, but it's also not what I'm interested in. So as you can tell by what I'm saying, I socially outcasted myself completely. Academics-wise, I wasn't having a good time. Socially, I just felt like I was more of an adult. I was more mature than everybody else, and their interests didn't interest me. And so I kind of just really fell into this cycle of just going home every weekend and enjoying that more than I ever did my college experience being on campus. Let's talk about roommates really quick because this also kind of quickly impacted a lot of the social stuff. For the first 2 years that I lived on campus, I did have roommates, and I loved my roommates, my direct roommate. I think we were like soulmates in terms of living together, but I also learned that living with other people is just not for me. I live alone now, and I still say like, I could be married with children and I'd still want to live alone. Like I want to live alone for forever because having roommates, it's really annoying. You start to learn everybody's quirks and what you can and can't put up with. I specifically remember that people were using my mugs and not washing them and letting my mugs go moldy. I remember people were using my K-cups for my coffee machine that I actually had to keep my K-cups under my bed and go into my bedroom, pull it out from under my bed just when I wanted coffee so other people would stop using my things. But I'm no saint, you know? They would complain that I'd leave my clothes around everywhere, that I wouldn't put my shoes on the rack, or that I wasn't taking out the trash quickly enough or as often. So having roommates, I was like, I don't want this. I just want to move in with my boyfriend and start my life. Like, this is so annoying. I don't enjoy this part of college either. So because of all these compounding issues and struggles with being in college, I ended up moving back home after 2 years. And I was totally fine with just spending all of my social time with my family and my boyfriend. And I knew I would be commuting to school. I knew that I was removing myself from the entirety of college culture. But because I felt like this true adult that I didn't need it, I started going to college just to go for class, and that was it. Oh, she's stuck. Oh, she's in there. Oh, this is a weird experience, you guys. I wish I could describe what I'm feeling right now. I feel like I'm inside of a whale. No, can't describe it. All right, here we go. So let's get back into academics because that is another, again, huge part of this whole experience. It was during sophomore year that I began to question if I really wanted to do journalism. I think going into it, I loved the idea of being Barbara Walters or a news anchor or having my own column in the New York Times. And, you know, I was working for the Daily Trojan, writing a newspaper, really starting to work towards that. But I started loathing it. I didn't realize how, with a newspaper article, they take what you write and then they edit it to an extent that you don't even recognize it as your own writing. When I'd be taking my journalism classes, all of my articles would just get ripped apart because it always felt like you could be doing more. You could have gotten more interviews. You could have gone more in depth. You could have tried to go behind the scenes a little bit more and get something really investigative than you did. And you know, journalism is not like math, you know? It's subjective. It's not like there's one right answer and that's it. And so, oh shoot, my whisk. Ugh. Got it. Now I just lost a minute. It's gonna harden too fast. Also, real smart of me where they said, grab a big bowl and mix it. And I thought, let me grab my salad bowl and mix it with chemicals and concrete. That's a great idea. This is probably not even gonna work. Oh shoot, it's too hard. So, you know, I was really starting to question my major if journalism was the right path for me. But the question and the normal thing that people do is they change their major. However, again, I wasn't like the other rich Trojans. I couldn't afford to just lose out on 2 years of college and start over. I didn't have $50K lying around, believe it or not. So I decided to stick with my major and see if maybe I'd start to like it again. But again, it was during this time that I lost all of the passion for my major. I didn't really have any friends or social life or clubs or activities that I was a part of. I was going home every weekend and I really started to lose myself in this whole experience. This is where I started to sleep a lot. And when I mean a lot, it was a lot, you guys. I have a lot of sleeping problems now, but this was to an entirely new level. And I think a big part of that, you know, when I was in high school, you were on a very segmented schedule. It's wake up at 6 a.m., go to zero period newspaper, do all your classes. After school, you have honor society, then soccer practice, and then club meetings and homework, and then rinse and repeat. When you're in college, all of a sudden you have all of this independence and no strict schedule where it's like, wait, I can eat 6 meals a day of all pizza and Philly cheesesteaks? I guess I'll gain 15 pounds and do that. Or, you know, people were being like, wait, I can get a fake ID and get trashed on a Wednesday night in my room? Let's go for it. But for me, this meant, wait, I don't have to do anything and I can just sleep and nap? Let's do that. The problem was I stopped going to class. I quickly learned, again, because of this independence and how much different college was from high school, that you don't actually have to go to the classes. The professor doesn't know my name in a 500-person lecture, especially if I'm not going to those office hours or sitting in front of the class. They're not taking attendance, and everything that they are teaching about, they send you the PowerPoint afterwards and all of the textbook reading. Let me just teach all this to myself and not actually go to class. I started skipping class so much when I was living on campus that my roommate actually calculated how much money I was wasting by not going into the physical classes and instead was napping. And I very vividly remember she calculated that in that year, I basically wasted $15,000 by just teaching myself the material instead of going to classes. But what she didn't understand was I did not have the mental capacity to even get out of bed. I didn't have the strength and energy to go to the classes. I was so dead set on just getting my degree and getting out of there, that learning in the actual classes wasn't as important as getting that piece of paper to say that you actually did. And that was my entire focus at that point. And because I was so dead set on getting out of there as soon as I could, and because I didn't want to change majors, I actually studied our list of classes, and my counselor never told me this, and I'm still kind of bitter about that to this day, but I learned that I could actually graduate early by doubling up on classes and getting my degree sooner. And I went into my counselor and I was like, hey, am I correct that if I take these specific classes at these specific times, I can graduate a year early? She kind of looks at my plan and goes, oh, yeah. Technically. And so that was my new plan. My new plan was I didn't care about any of the other stuff. I was just going to graduate in 3 years, get my degree, and leave. Wait, does this actually look like I'm a news reporter? Did the prophecy come true? Welcome back to Channel 4. I'm Jacy Aaron, and we have some breaking news. I will now be telling you about my graduation experience and how it impacted me long term. That was my reporter voice. Pretty good, huh? So my graduation day was bittersweet. I was joined by my boyfriend at the time, my family. It was all a really exciting event. They released doves into the air. Also, side note, the year before I graduated, Will Ferrell was the commencement speaker. The year after I graduated was Oprah freaking Winfrey. You know who I got? The CEO of Salesforce. What a lame commencement speaker. Anyway, graduation day was extremely bittersweet. My name wasn't even in the program because I guess I hadn't applied for early graduation soon enough. I didn't have any friends to take photos with because all of my roommates or all of the people in my direct journalism program were graduating a year later. So I was walking with the journalism students of a cohort that I wasn't even a part of. So at the end of this graduation, you know, in high school, I was so used to just staying on the field for an hour and just grabbing photos with all of the friends that you had made. I have no photos with any of those friends. This is the college yearbook of the year that I graduated. My mom said I should get my college yearbook, and I told her why, what's the point? And she said, you're gonna wanna look back on this. In 10 years, you're gonna wanna flip through this yearbook. And I said, I don't want it, but she bought it for me and I'm not in it. It's the wrong year. I didn't apply early enough. So I'm not even in this yearbook, not only as an individual photograph or portrait, but I'm not in any of the club photos. I'm not in any of the organizations or all the societies, the Greek life, the internships. There is no trace of me in this yearbook, which makes sense. There's thousands of kids that go to college. But I think what hurts me the most is that nothing in here was a special memory for me. I didn't even know that our men's team won the NCAA championship, which I'm sure was a bigger deal on campus. They have a picture of the Daily Trojan staff, and I didn't even know they were taking the photo. I wasn't invited to be a part of it. But I also may have quit by this time too. There were just so many clubs and organizations that in hindsight, I'm like, I would have loved to have joined that and been part of that community. But I had no idea it even existed, and at the time, I had no desire to want to join it. This is the part that's probably gonna make me cry. These are two of my most prized possessions. These are my items that, if there's a fire, I'm grabbing these two. My mom is a scrapbooker and a wonderful, talented, incredible one at that. And she gives us scrapbooks from notable times in our life. And she gave me this one from high school, but I'm just gonna flip through these pages of my high school experience really quickly so you just get an idea. But it shows that I was going to so many dances. I was a part of the chamber singers choir. I was on the school soccer team. But I also had so many friends and so many memories with all of these incredible people that I met but hung out with regularly. And when she gave this to me, of course I cried. And she gave my sister a college scrapbook. And so I knew one was coming for me. And I knew it was going to be disappointing because all throughout my college years, my mom kept saying, send me photos. Send me photos. And I knew it was for this scrapbook, and I didn't have photos. I didn't have any memories from college, and she kept begging me, take photos with your roommates, go to events and send me photos, like I need content. And I didn't have any for her. So I'm gonna flip through the scrapbook that she made me for college, and it's beautiful, but it's like I didn't even go to college because any photo of me was on a day that my family came to visit me. It was on Parents' Day or on Parents' Weekend, where it was the one football game a year that I went to. There are screenshots of Instagram posts that other people took where I happened to be in the photo and I was tagged. And my mom screenshotted it and included it in here because I didn't actually take or post the photo. She collected so many beautiful paper items at school. She collected business cards and covers of programs and so many little things. And there's no photos of me with any friends. It's all photos of me with my brother, of me with my mom when she came to visit. And this page kind of breaks my heart because I made so many few friends that my mom made this page and put my family's faces on the bodies of students because I didn't have one of my own. It's a beautiful scrapbook, but I think it perfectly encapsulates my college experience because I only went to college for class and I only ever hung out with my family and I didn't make any friends. And this shows that. My mom also got me this gift for college graduation. It is a beautifully hand-carved frame of my school and its notable buildings. I've been out of college for 8.5 years now, and I haven't put a photo in this because I don't know what photo to put in it. And then lastly, this is my other most prized possession. My grandpa went to USC. He went to a community college for 2 years and then went to USC for his remaining 2 years. And all of my life, he told me, go to community college first and then go to the school you want. It'll be half the money, but the full degree, and that's all that you really need. But when he went to USC, he loved it. It was one of his personality traits. He had all the sweatshirts, all these things from USC. And when I got into USC, he gave me this hat, which was his hat from when he went back in the day. He has since passed, but he didn't know much about my college experience because he passed away. But when I got in, he was so proud of me, and he said, going to USC were the best days of my life. You're going to love it. And I don't know, I feel like I kind of failed him. And that I didn't have the experience that you're supposed to have. And the shitty part is that it was all self-inflicted. And I look at this beanie and I'm really happy to have it because it makes me think of him. But sometimes it also makes me think I never even went to an event where I could have worn it. And I wasn't a proud Trojan at the time. It's also another reason I didn't have any B-roll for this video to show you because, I don't know, just nothing exists. So now let's talk about recent years and my thoughts on college. I realized now, again, about 8 years out of college, that I just didn't do college the way I should have done college. Oh, shoot, there was protective gear in here the whole time. Was I supposed to be wearing gloves? Now we're good. Since then, I started working at a community college, and I realized that I should have listened to my grandfather and gone to community college. I think because I was such a good high school student that everybody was like, you can get in anywhere. Go to the best school you could go to. When that probably wasn't the right choice for me because I realized I didn't like being a small fish in a big pond. I liked being the big fish in a small pond. And I think had I gone to community college, I not only would have been able to explore a lot of the career options and avoided ending up hating my major, but I would have saved money. I could have chosen a better school where I could have been that big fish in a littler pond and not lose my self-worth because I was surrounded by everybody else who was kind of like me. That sounds a little selfish, but I hope you guys understand. I absolutely, in hindsight, think I took USC for granted. It was such a great network. There were so many resources. And despite it being pretty expensive, it does have a payoff because when I graduated, I had companies reaching out to me being like, oh, you went to USC? Come work for me. And I'm like, I didn't even major in what you're asking me to do. And they'd be like, doesn't matter. You went to USC. Come work for me. So I wish I would have taken advantage of a lot more of their resources while I was there. You know, internships, getting a mentor, and really making those connections. I think I wish I wouldn't have been in a relationship, and again, hindsight, because that relationship didn't work out. I made a whole video about that one too after 8 years. But if I weren't in a relationship, I think I would have been a lot more social. I absolutely would have gone to parties. I would have joined more clubs. So if I were in a relationship, because it was a very serious relationship, I wish I would have had more trust and been like, hey, we need a little bit more space so I can still have a full college experience, but you just gotta trust me. Doesn't this look like forbidden cake? Like, oh, I wanna bite it so bad, but it smells like a preschool classroom of Play-Doh. But I think the biggest takeaway after not having this great college experience is that I now love USC more than I did when I was a student there. After I graduated, my parents and I, who again are still my best friends, we ended up getting season tickets to the USC football game and went to every single home football game. I, for the first time, had this school pride. I wanted to buy t-shirts and merch. I wanted to go around telling people to fight on, and I wanted that kind of school spirit that I never had before, and I was finally getting it post-graduation. I started going to alumni events and connecting with people in my career field, which is what I should have been doing in the first place, but now I got this second lease on connecting with alum and seeing where they are in life and, you know, using that as a resource. You know, I donate to the school. I now live in LA, so I go and take walks on campus and feel this sense of pride that I went to such a prestigious university. I go to other sporting events. I watch them on TV, like everything about it. I feel so much more connected to my school after I graduated. And what I think has also been really important for me in confronting the lack of social interactions that I had with college was that I probably made about 5 friends in college, and I loved them to death, and I'm so grateful for the limited social times I did have. I kind of reconnected with them. You know, social media has been a godsend in staying connected with them, seeing what they're up to. But you know, last time I went to New York City, I ended up hanging out with both of them and was just reminded that there are amazing people that you meet in college. I just didn't, but it doesn't mean I have to lose all contact with them and that I can't be friends with them 8 years out of college. And one last really important thing that I've learned is that despite me hating journalism and almost changing my major and falling into this really depressive episode during college because I hated journalism, I now want to do it again and combine a lot of my skills with journalism. If you guys haven't seen that video of what I want to do moving forward with this channel, it kind of combines all of my journalism skills with what I'm doing here on my YouTube channel, where I want to make this show where I'm essentially a type of reporter. And it's kind of cool to see it come full circle where I didn't want to be in journalism before, but now I kind of just want to create my own form of journalism and really start to showcase my own personality and combine that with a lot of my own interests. So I think now when people ask me, oh, you went to USC, how was that? I don't really have a negative connotation anymore. I definitely say it was an incredible school. I got an amazing degree and so many opportunities. And I think the way I answer it now is that I wasn't a good college student, but it was a great school and I kind of have no regrets going there in hindsight. Sure, I may regret some of my own experiences and how I went about going to college, but I have no ill will towards USC, and honestly, I'm proud to be a Trojan. And to this day, I still see people in USC shirts, and because now I finally have school spirit, I'm able to say, fight on. So that's gonna be it for this episode of Dabbles and Babbles. In terms of what I was dabbling in, I did hand casting, so I obviously did a little fight on sign. I think hand casting is really cool as they advertised it because it's like you can be holding hands and cast your held hands in there. It was a lot messier than I thought it was gonna be. I had to do a lot off camera, but I think it came out pretty cute. I wish there was more wrist, but I really liked it. This was a fun little project. I'll leave it linked down below if you want to try any hand casting on your own or with a significant other, whatever you'd like. Also, look, is that what my finger is shaped like? With like a bump? Oh my God, it is! Why do I have a bump on my hand? I'm deformed, probably because I use my phone 24/7. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Definitely got a little emotional, which is why I've been hesitant to make this video, because I knew it would. Every now and then I'll do like a lot more personal videos. And I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate all the support that I get on my channel. And I'm just so grateful for each and every one of you. If anything resonated with you in this video, definitely let me know down in the comments. So I don't know, I'm not alone. But thank you guys so much for watching. For any Trojans out there, fight on. And to everybody else, I will see you in the next video. Toodles! I'm gonna have so much footage to sort through because 20 minutes of this is just gonna be me crying. And I think this salad bowl is dead. It's just concrete. I think I'm done for tonight. I'm just gonna call it a night and start over tomorrow.